Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. If you are anywhere like me where we are having these insane temperatures this early in the summer, make sure you're hydrating out there. Hydration, hydration, hydration. Can't talk about it enough. But anyhow, today we're going to talk about some tips to prevent bloating on a raw vegan diet. I get this question from time to time, and I got an email the other day from somebody asking me about it. I'm going to write them back personally, but I also just thought this would be a good time to address this again, as I've done a few videos on this subject. But the main thing I want to say about this and always remind people is, unlike all the other raw vegans on Instagram, I'm not an expert, not claiming to be an expert. Also, for a little bit of perspective, it's also important for people that are watching me or that are, asking me questions to know that I came into this lifestyle pretty healthy. Granted, what I consider good digestion now doesn't compare to back then, but I never had like very bad digestion. I never had a lot of bloating or constipation or just irritable bowels or whatever back then. So that's something very important to think about. And also too, before I even get started on this particular subject, I'm going to tell you my biggest raw vegan hack. If you're having problems with anything out there, any specific problem, people talk about candida, bloating, can't lose weight, this, that, and the other. My biggest recommendation is, if you can, not saying there's always one out there, that you search a little bit and find another raw vegan that has experienced and has taken care of the problem that you're looking to take care of, because direct experience is the best thing I can think of for somebody to be able to take care of their own problems. But anyhow, just from my knowledge of this lifestyle over 10 years, I'd say the first one that I would look at if you're bloating is some food combining. You can go to Google and just search raw vegan food combining, because if you just do food combining, you have all kind of different things that we're not eating out there. But go Google raw vegan food combining, and you can read a few. Now, I'm not a fanatic. I don't have to do perfect combining. I mean, there's some things I do like that are not recommended for everybody, and some people have problems with, like any association of nuts with fruit. I don't do it on a regular basis, but I can have a little bit of almond butter in my ice cream. So all I'm getting out there is I don't have to be a fanatic, but you can figure out a lot by just checking out some simple food combining, learning a little bit about it. Also too, giving yourself a little bit of space in between meals for stuff to digest. And also, when it comes to food combining, we're not just talking about what you're combining within one meal. You have to be cognizant of, like, okay, if you ate something, like say you ate something heavy at noon, and then you tried to come back and eat like fruit on top of that, like we're talking about when I say heavy, something that's slower digestion. Maybe you had some nuts, maybe you had some fat in there, or even if you're eating some cooked food. Then you come back a little too soon with the fruit. Well, that fruit's going to want to digest quicker than that other meal did, so you just can get that fruit fermenting in there. So another thing too is you're getting a lot of fiber when you first come to this lifestyle, and sometimes it can take people a while to get used to consuming that much fiber. And even though you're anxious and you're like, I want to just eat this, 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 and that, some people have to step into it a little bit slower. Because just throwing fruit at it is not going to necessarily get rid of the bloating and or the constipation. So just remember that there's a lot more fiber in this lifestyle than probably you're accustomed to having any time in the past. I know it was for me. And along with that, to push that fiber, for a different reason. There's just so many reasons we need to stay hydrated. Like, I think a lot of times people can be constipated, even though they're eating the right things. They can be constipated or bloating because they're just not hydrated enough. They don't have enough water for all that food to move through their system, unobstructed. Another one, I don't know, I've eaten unripe fruit, or not perfectly ripe fruit before, but unripe fruit can cause bloating in people. Certain kind of fruits like apples, if you might want to stay away from some of the things like the apples, the stone fruits. They can be a little bit harder, but in general, yeah, you want to have yourself hydrated. throwing a lot at you there. I've got my notes all kind of mixed up down here. Another one too that I've just got down there is just a small thing that some people harp on all the time, and it is a good thing to soak your nuts and seeds. Sometimes people have they can digest those a little bit better when they let them soak a little bit. Now me personally, it's kind of a matter of convenience. Usually if I'm making something in a recipe, like especially cashews, I'll soak them for a little while. If I'm making some mock taco meat, I'll soak my walnuts, but a lot of the seeds, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I'm not soaking hemp seeds, I'm not soaking chia seeds. I get enough, I put enough, you know, I'm always hydrated enough, and I know chia seeds can suck a lot of moisture out of everything, but I just kind of offset that, you know, there's water in the smoothie. But soaking those nuts and seeds, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying about food combining there. If you might have to be, people with certain issues have to be a little bit more strict on that very narrow path about other things. I mean, I know a lot of other raw vegans that also don't have to be as finicky about their food combining, but I don't want you to take that in the wrong way, that if you've got pretty decent digestion, you can just throw food combining out the door. I would still always recommend a little basic food combining. And with melons, I always hear people eating other stuff with melons. Eat your melons alone. Eat your melons alone. Eating unripe fruit. Cruciferous veggies. I've talked about this a little bit before too. Sometimes people have a problem with them and they're like, I can't digest them. Once again, it's kind of similar advice to adding more fiber into your diet when you're starting a raw food diet, is you might have to just get used to the cruciferous a little by little. Just eat small amounts. Doesn't mean you have to jump in and eat all or nothing of any one thing. You can work your way up with most vegetables, and especially the cruciferous ones. Now, if you've seen me make my salads, follow me on Instagram, probably have heard me talk about it there. An even better trick to make it even more digestible is I keep little Tupperware things in my refrigerator to put on my salads. I chop up purple cabbage, which is beautiful for the gut biome, broccoli. So almost every salad I have, I've got chopped up broccoli, I've got chopped up purple cabbage, and then another assortment of things. I'll put carrots on there, I'll put tomatoes on there, cucumbers on there. It's all about that variety, all about that variety. And I'll come to one thing that I always like to recommend too. If you're really having a problem with bloating, one source to cut through, you could almost just fast forward and start right here, is Fiber Fueled by Dr. Bulsiewicz. I was watching that, like I say, I watch him over and over and over and pick up little things every time. He talks about that gut biome. And one of the things that has just been drilled into my head is we have a healthier, stronger gut biome the more diversity we're putting into it, the different vegetables we're eating, the different colors, all that kind of stuff. And if you listen to me at all and you're obviously this far into the video, that would be my #1 problem. If you're really having issues, and sometimes people will balk at that because they're like, well, he's not raw, or he doesn't do this or that. Well, you can still pretty much, you can use most of that stuff and, you know, put it into a raw version for yourself. But I highly recommend, if you deal with any kind of bloating, constipation, any of those issues, and you don't even know, well, I recommend buying the book. If you have that, I mean, come on, spend $25, I don't know what it costs, $20, $25 to help you with something that causes you great uncomfort and pain. But there's a lot of, he's very generous with his time. He does interviews with a lot of different people. And there's a lot of good interviews out there. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll try my best. If I forget, somebody out there remind me and I'll drop it then. But I'm going to drop a link to his video that I was watching this morning, because it was a really good one, and I forget the name of the channel. It's a channel that I watch where the guy interviews people like they're Dr. B. So that's a really good one. I totally recommend watching that, and I think it'll make a lot of sense. He speaks very simply, so it'll make a lot of sense to you. But that's it. It's just, and you know what? Don't necessarily throw everything out the window and completely change how you're eating, stop how you're eating, mix it up 100% if you're having an issue with this. Sometimes for certain people with certain issues, you kind of have to, it's like working through a math, you have to work your way through it. You might have to try a few different things. Like I say, you might have to ease in with the fiber that you're taking in. You might have to ease in with how much fruit you're eating. You might have to ease in with the different types of vegetables, but just think of it like that. There is a way you can figure that out, and I understand, and I'll finish with this. Bloating's never been much of an issue for me, but I have been bloated a few times, even on this raw vegan diet where I mixed some stuff up or I just didn't eat right. It hadn't happened in a few years, knock on wood, but it does not feel good. So I understand when people almost kind of get into a desperation, but just know there's solutions out there, and you pretty much have the power to figure this out on your own. But I stand behind those tips right there. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Probably, since kind of got off schedule with videos this week, I'm gonna probably do a video this weekend, if not two. So y'all have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.